Good day, Internet.
Oh, good day, Internet.
Ha, Sawenya.
Good morning, Julia.
Hakuna
Hakuna Matata.
Matata.
We're all feeling the TGIF love today.
Yes.
Mhm.
What
And
a
so much so
wonderful
that I will
day.
probably never step into another TGIFs again.
I haven't been to one in some time.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not.
It's
A long time.
I've only
it's
ever
been a while.
been to one, and that was like on a whim because we were hungry and it was the only place open.
There
It's
was
hard to find them here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's
There-
a good thing. Trust me.
There used to be, and there probably still is, one sort of near SFO in Daly City.
There used to be
and
one over in
For
Fisherman's
some
Wharf.
reason, I used to go there a lot
Well,
because
we
I guess
won't
it was
judge
not
you.
far from where I lived in the Sunset, but it wasn't that close either. And it was like a fun thing that we would do.
And
Like after picking up somebody from the airport, we'd go to TGI Friday.
for what it's worth, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was fine. It was over.
What is it like?
Salty.
Like, what's another TGI Friday?
A Chili's.
Ruby
Max,
Tuesday.
Max and Irma's.
I
Max
feel like
and Irma's.
TGI Fridays is a little bit more like
That's good.
festive.
Is it? Is it a little more flair intensive?
It is. Yeah.
No, Max
I felt-
and Irma's.
I felt like they had more
Applebee's.
emphasis on kind of like the bar and restaurant. You know,
Well,
you go
that's
and
what
watch a game.
they all
Is
tried.
it?
They all tried to crowd into that market, like
Bar and grill thing.
bar. Like we're gonna have a full service bar. It's not just gonna be beer or wine or just a limited selection of spirits, like
Right.
like a margarita or
It's
something
like-
like Chevy's. It's gonna be a full bar, but you can also get more than just bar food. I don't know.
Well, all right.
All I remember is it was made.
I mean,
fun
I
of
like
it,
the premise of that full bar
but
with lots of food.
but most
Okay.
of the food's fried.
Yeah,
or
or
like,
microwave.
It's not very appealing.
Has anyone checked
Microwave.
in on Justin Robert Young's Popeye's chicken sandwich adventure?
Well,
Did
we
you
should.
get
You
it
should
yet?
fill it. You should fill in Shannon. And
So,
and Len.
Shannon, are you
I know he was
familiar-
looking. Yeah, I know he was looking for one like on Wednesday, and he was like, "There's a line out the door in Oakland."
So on Thursday, there was also a line out the door. He came to our pre-show meeting, or maybe it was the show itself, sort of winded. Like, I couldn't make it happen. The line was too long. I tried to get the sandwich before the show.
Oh my
Um,
gosh!
And then I saw a post on Instagram of his last night that was just like a picture of a sad handwritten note that said, "No more chicken sandwiches," which I assume was posted
Aw,
somewhere in the Popeyes that he went back to.
That's so sad.
I know. It's funny because that was the first I'd heard of it. I've just been out of the loop, I guess, living under a rock. And I mentioned it to a couple of my friends, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, you can't get him anywhere. Lines out the door, lines around the block."
Really?
That is
Wow.
What is
ridiculous.
happening?
Yeah.
That's
It's so weird. Like I was telling Justin how crazy social media has made people when it comes to like retailers that we've known about for decades.
Right.
Like what was the Szechuan sauce or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it was?
from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, from
Right.
McDonald's, and now you have this chicken sandwich. I'm like, dude, like
No, it started
meme
with
culture.
it started with the McRib. Is
Yeah.
it the ribwich?
Oh
or
yeah,
McRib?
that's right. Yeah,
That was like a big thing, and it's like if you've ever actually washed the sauce off one of those things, it looks pretty gross. Not to
Yeah.
say that McDonald's food isn't good or healthy. I'm just saying that particular product isn't appealing to me. But there is something of a memification about a lot of these PR efforts. Like you
Yeah.
kind of see it with pop-up restaurants, like for example,
Mhm.
In-N-Out. They do pop-up restaurants in locations that they do not have a presence in. So they'll do them like in Manhattan. They'll do them in Vancouver. I remember there was one in Sydney, Australia, and one in London, and they had huge lines around the block.
Did they just announce a new chicken sandwich or something? What's the deal?
Popeyes? Yes, they announced.
wow.
a new,
You're out of the loop, Lynn.
I am really out of the loop.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't the last one, but I only heard about it yesterday. Yeah. Apparently, it's a chicken sandwich that is mostly universally regarded to be the best chicken sandwich on earth.
fast food
Interesting.
chicken sandwich. I would
apparently.
apparently. I don't know.
Well, of a certain
Bracket.
you know, yeah,
So-
certain genre of restaurants. Because I mean, chicken
know-
sandwich could be so many things.
That's one of the
fine.
things. Things like that get really hyped, and you go to it, and I will probably just say it's okay. Like it's
Was
weird
this all a
because-
marketing push?
Well, it's
though?
mostly
Was
being
this-
compared.
Was this all their
it's
marketing?
mostly being compared to the Chick-fil-A sandwich,
Okay.
Yeah, no,
I
if
like
I had to-
and that it's a lot better than that.
My wife
which is already
really
pretty
loves
good,
Chick-fil-A.
supposedly.
and I
It's
just
good.
think it's just okay. Like
No, it's good.
I've never
It's the
been
pickles
there.
that go on there. So what? It was this all marketing? Was it all like a marketing thing? Like,
Well, I'm sure that's part of it. But
or
I think
was it?
people
No,
also
was it
really like the
organic?
sandwich.
Is what I'm asking. Like, it was.
Oh, I don't know. Someone
Like
who's
someone-
eaten the sandwich, tell us what's the deal. What's
like
the
someone
deal
on
with the
social
chicken
media
sandwich?
said this was really good, and it just sort of exploded.
When
Was
do
it
we
like a
do
Reddit
memes
thing?
with healthy food? Like, oh, celery and peanut butter.
But you're not seeing a lot of people being like, "Yo, it's a good sandwich, but it's not that good." People are like, "It's that good."
Really?
I've seen written article posts on sites that say it's just okay. But
Okay,
you know
all
what I mean?
right. The chicken sandwich backlash has begun.
Well, this is the thing. Like a lot of these sites, sometimes they get they get people there who might not be necessarily enthusiasts or fans
Mhm.
of that particular style of food, and they say like it's good. Like I don't see the reason why there's such a huge rush to the stores to get them, but to each their own. Like this is the thing. Popeyes for me has always been super salty, even for fast food. Like just super salty.
Same.
I always thought Popeyes was like, it was the service was terrible when I went to. It was terrible.
That's part of their brand.
Is it?
And
Is
there's no
bad
Popeye.
service?
There's no Popeye. Like, where's Popeye?
He's in Japan. No, that's KFC.
That's Colonel Sanders to you.
Yes.
Well, where is? I mean, don't you? I mean, I guess it's just Popeyes. Like, that's just the name, but there's no Popeye. Like, no character
Maybe
Popeye.
Popeyes.
Who owns the right to
Chicken.
Popeye, the character?
Universal Syndicate.
Well, that's probably why you don't
then
see
don't
his
call it
likeness
Popeye. Call
on
it something
Popeye's
different then.
sign.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Call
he
it something
claimed-
else.
Alvin C. Copeland, the guy who founded the chain, said it was named after the fictional detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in the movie.
Oh,
The
yeah,
French
of
Connection.
course. Yeah.
And
Oh
not
yeah,
comic
the other
strip.
Popeye. Lesser known, but still very historically
It's like the
The
important.
name
other-
is
the other
spelled
Mickey
Popeyes
Mouse,
without
you
the
know?
apostrophe used by other restaurant chains such as McDonald's and Hardee's.
Hardee's.
Wow.
Oh, the chain later acquired the rights to use Popeye the Sailor for marketing and used this for 35 years. In late November 2006, AFC announced the mutual termination of their licensing contract with King Feature Syndicate, effectively ending their association with the Popeye characters.
How about that?
Let me ask you this. Do you like, I think I've asked you this already, like maybe 2 months ago. You like Jollibees?
Jollibees.
Never
Never heard
been.
of
What
it.
are Jollibees?
Jollibee, the Filipino fast food chain?
Never
I
heard
don't
of
know
it.
it.
You've never heard of it? Oh, come
No.
on. Len?
Don't have
No?
it here.
Yeah.
They don't have it here. No.
Nah, it's
If they should, for real. That sounds like a West Coast thing.
They have them in the West Coast. They just opened one in New York last year.
Jollibees.
I like the name.
Jollibee.
Sounds fun.
Is it
Their mascot's a big red bee.
Oh, a
Jolli-
bee.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jollibees?
like Jolli. They do classic Filipino fast food. There's no such thing as classic Phil. They do Filipino fast food.
Yeah.
So
They
it's,
do.
So
yeah.
it's like overly-
Balut.
No, they do. They do overly sweet spaghetti that has like ketchup in it, and then hot dog
no.
pieces in it.
Ooh, my goodness. That sounds like something that I would make at home when I'm like, well, this is all I got.
No, this Jollibee. I'm looking at the site. If it's the same one, this is just chicken.
No, they do other things besides chicken. They do burger. You have to scroll all the way down. All the way down.
Roger's like, I'm familiar with their website.
Go all
look
the
at
way down.
that. Okay, they have pancit and stuff.
Um,
Do
Jolly
they have
spaghetti?
any near you, Len? Or is this a
No.
West Coast thing?
I don't think they do.
Hmm.
The Jolly hot dog. Longanisa. Okay.
Spaghetti and ketchup. Is this a thing people like?
Hello.
That doesn't sound good to me.
it's
That
just
sounds
it's just
gross.
sweetened spaghetti sauce, sort of.
Well, I mean, okay, some spaghetti sauce is sweeter than others, but ketchup is very sweet.
They have one in Texas. They have one in Georgia. Huh, in Jacksonville. Oh no, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida. What's the closest one to you? Are you close to Skokie, Illinois, Len?
Yeah, I got to go out to Illinois. Yeah. But I'm looking at it. They have a couple of Filipino things on the menu, but I wouldn't say that it's Filipino.
They do Halo Halo, and that's why I went there.
Halahaga, they longanisa, they do tapa. But yeah,
They do
I would
adobo
say-
rice.
Well, yeah, but you need to have the chicken adobo,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
And then
You need the meat, or it's not adobo.
they got palabok fiesta, which is sort of like pancit, but
The halo is weird, but I still eat it.
Do any of you who've done more home improvement than me have an app or any sort of program besides like Photoshop where I could kind of virtually paint a wall based on a photo to see what a different color would look like in a real room?
do you have?
I know that there are apps that do this. I just don't know if somebody has a favorite.
I don't know because I've never had to do that.
You know, if you have Adobe Creative Suite,
I do.
you can, and if you have an iPad Pro,
I don't.
you can take a picture, even if on your phone, Creative Suite, and then just take a picture and then just paint over. You know, that's
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
I've done
I'll fuss around with some options. If anybody else has any ideas, let me know.
There might also be online like Sherwin-Williams, maybe.
Or
has
Kelly
a-
Yeah,
Moore.
there are like 10 apps. That
Oh, do you want to
come
repaint
up
your
right
walls?
away. I'm just, you know, I'm pretending I'm Bob Vila. I don't know. I've gone down this rabbit hole of paint, and now this is a thing that I want.
I went to an advertising agency not that long ago for a field trip for my students, and the agency, one of their brands was Dutch Boy, and they created an app that helps you paint a room based on your playlist, like if your Spotify playlist or.
What does that mean?
It
What color
means-
is Spotify?
Well, it just goes by the kind of music you listen to,
Oh.
and then it helps
What?
you choose music based on that. I
So,
don't know how it
like,
works.
if you listen to a lot of AC/DC, you got black walls.
Yeah, something like
Okay.
that.
Or
All
green
right.
for money.
Green for
I didn't
money.
actually play with it. I just saw the technology. I was like, well, that's interesting. They were targeting millennials who are like basing stuff on their
That's a
musical
stretch.
preferences and stuff.
I don't know. Maybe that's a thing people
That's
do.
not. That's not.
I
for
don't
you and
associate music with color.
Really?
Unless you have aphasia,
No.
that
I mean, unless it's like an album cover that I'm trying to recreate, but that doesn't really happen.
I think maybe it was more like maybe mood. You know?
Mm,
oh, like what kind of
yeah.
interest you have, so they can determine.
That seems like a very permanent solution to a temporary mood.
Yeah.
You know, like, my walls, I don't feel
Well,
blue
if you
anymore.
have
Why did I paint my whole house
That's
blue?
the next thing. Smart walls, right? Change
Smart
color.
Walls.
That would be so-
Hypercolor walls.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
imagine
that's
it could be like your little color changing lights. Anytime
Yeah.
you like, I'm in my blue mood, and the walls turn all blue.
That's cool.
Like my mood wall, so people know. For example, you're in an argument with your friend, they can tell
Red.
your emotional state by the color of the walls.
You know, I wish I liked more of the colors of my smart bulbs. I mean, for something like a set or that sort of thing, it's really great to have. But every so often, because I've got one right by my couch, and it's like, I'll be like, turn green. And as soon as it's green, I'm like, kind of makes me feel like I'm sick. Warm it up, go back to the beige. There's certain colors where I'm like, it like never makes my living room look good. It kind of gives it a sickly feel. And blue kind of makes it look cold.
Well, that's what you do during the summer. The walls would get blue, so you'd feel cooler.
You'd feel cooler.
And the
Yeah.
winter, it would get like a yellow or orange to feel a little more warm.
Well, but I just did it the other night, and it's been hot in my apartment for 3 months now, and I still was like, the blue isn't quite right. I feel like I'm in a freezer where like people would be frozen.
Like a morgue.
Yeah, like a morgue.
That's
Yeah.
the only place
It
I've
just
ever seen
wasn't
frozen
right.
people. Unless
It
you're talking about.
wasn't right for my comfy night on the couch watching Netflix. I was like, I don't like this feeling.
This
Go back to the
this
regular
couch
life.
feels like a metal slab.
What were you watching?
I don't know. I mean, I have no problem with morgues, fictional morgues in a television show or movie. I just didn't want it to be my room. I don't
Well-
know, guys. This is all, our modern world, hard to navigate.
It is,
That's
but
right.
you know what it is? What isn't hard to navigate?
What's that, Roger?
Our show,
Our
Daily
show.
Tech News Show.
That's a really good point. Yay.
So yeah, give yourself a 5-second count in, and we can begin.
Sounds good. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Coming up on DTNS, Amazon's got a third-party quality control problem. DoorDash updates its driver tipping policy, and Denmark revisits flawed cell phone data court cases. This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, August 23rd, 2019. From Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Brownstown, I'm Len Peralta.
From Studio Snubs, I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
And I'm the assistant producer, Amos.
You know, a friendly patron of ours, Charles, wrote in and said, Amos kind of chimes in, but you don't introduce him at the top of the show. So we decided we're going to rectify that today. Thanks, Charles. And thanks, Amos, for being with us. Before the show, boy, we were talking about all sorts of stuff. Ketchup on noodles. What else were we talking about? We were all over the
We're
place.
talking about TGIFs.
TGIFs, restaurant chains that we
Bananarama.
Bananarama. Chicken sandwiches that Justin Robert Young is having a hard time getting. Oh, it was a good time on Good Day Internet. And you can join the conversation. We do it before and after DTNS by becoming a member at patreon.com/DTNS. For now, let's start with a few tech things you should know. Google announced it shut down 210 YouTube channels that were spreading misinformation about protests in Hong Kong. Google security threat analysis group's Shane Huntley wrote in a blog post that the channels were shut down to combat coordinated influence operations and were using VPNs and other means to disguise their origin and activity. Earlier this week, Facebook and Twitter shut down several groups, in Twitter's case it was hundreds, and accounts under similar concerns.
The average time to upgrade a smartphone has lengthened to 33 months, according to a new report from Strategy Analytics. The report also notes the average iPhone has been active for 18 months and the average Samsung phone 16.5 months. 7% of those surveyed indicated that they plan to spend over $1,000 to upgrade to their next smartphone, which may affect future 5G phone adoption as 5G is expected to raise prices overall. However, 1 out of 4 people surveyed did say 5G will be an important factor when they do upgrade.
Google confirmed it began rolling out the ability to search for text within images in Google Photos. The feature works with any images uploaded to the service, not just screenshots. Google Lens also integrates within the search, allowing text to be copied directly from the image.
I'm going to use that all the time. The FAA published a notice that attaching weapons to drones is a bad idea, just in case you didn't know that already. Specifically, it warns, quote, perhaps you've seen online photos and videos of drones with attached guns, bombs, fireworks, flamethrowers, and other dangerous items. Do not consider attaching any items such as these to a drone because operating a drone with such an item may result in significant harm to a person and to your bank account. Those fines can reach $25,000 unless you first apply for FAA authorization and get approval for your drone weaponizing operation.
Flame-throwing drone in the backyard at the barbecue. What could go wrong? Yeah, that's a hefty fine. Audible is being sued by 7 members of the Association of American Publishers for copyright infringement over its planned rollout of a feature called Audible Captions that shows text on screen as a book is being narrated. HarperCollins Publishers, Penguin Random House, Hachette Book Group, Simon & Schuster, and Macmillan Publishers say that Audible needs their authorization as copyright holders and only has the right to sell the audiobooks. All right, let's talk a little bit more about data breaches. Shannon, it's as if you just bring them to us simply by being on the show. Sources tell Krebs on security that more than 5.3 million accounts belonging to cardholders from 35 U.S. states and posted online came from compromised gas pumps, coffee shops, and restaurants operated by Hy-Vee, a Midwestern supermarket chain based in Des Moines, Iowa, with more than 245 retail locations. Hy-Vee announced on August 14th it was investigating a data breach involving payment processing systems that handled transactions within its various stores, but said at the time it was too early to tell when the breach began or for how long intruders were inside their systems. Hy-Vee says it doesn't believe that the breach affected payment and terminals used in its grocery store checkout lanes or its pharmacies or its convenience stores, has a lot of different kinds of stores, because those systems use point-to-point encryption to prevent card skimming malware. Shannon, my first question was, well, okay, why don't we have point-to-point encryption on all of Hy-Vee's locations and point of sales?
Why don't we have it on all the things? And I remember when I used to work at a credit card processing systems company that it was very expensive and kind of it took a lot of merchants a lot of time to be able to afford getting these point of sale systems that were upgraded so that they were certified and compliant, and actually installing them in all of their business places. So it's entirely possible, in my mind, that Hy-Vee may have been going through this process of upgrading, and they decided to start with places like the restaurants and eventually work their way over to the grocery stores. Or maybe they're on completely different types of terminals themselves that have to have a completely different process and maybe have to be upgraded with completely different equipment as well. In my experience, a lot of the upgraded systems for point of sale cost several $1,000s per checkout lane. So that is a really, really high cost thing that you have to implement. But it's also very important because if something like this happens, Visa and MasterCard and other compliance companies will fine you millions of dollars. So it's a tough place. It's unfortunate. And I'm from the Midwest, so I'm very familiar with Hy-Vee, and I know a lot of my family shop at those places too. So I know quite a few people are being impacted. But yeah, that's like the life of being a small merchant and having to upgrade these machines is very, very expensive.
Right. And even for a company like Hy-Vee, I mean, 245 retail locations, not the biggest chain, but pretty big. Not a mom and pop operation by any means. But again, we see this all the time. Doesn't really matter how big or small the company is. If you're a small company, sure, price might just be the factor why you don't upgrade to a more secure system. But the fact that some of their systems, Hy-Vee is like, we're safe. The data would not have been able to be collected by using card skimming malware, but some of it would. And yeah, the question to me is kind of, how long were they sitting around wondering, how long can we stretch out the upgrade, which is going to be expensive before something like this happens? Or does it have to happen for a company to say, oh, this is a thing that just happened, now we have to do this, and hadn't even had a timeline for it in place already?
And not only that, but they don't even know how long the criminals were targeting them or how long they were able to get access to their network. So this could be something that we know it hit 5.3 million accounts, but we don't know how long they were actually in there. So people don't really know right now who was actually affected in that 5.3 million.
Yep.
So moving on, the Financial Times reports that 3 anonymous members of the Libra Association expressed concerns about being linked to the project in the wake of regulatory scrutiny. 2 of the companies are reportedly considering pulling out of the project completely. One of the companies expressed frustration that Facebook didn't address potential regulatory concerns before the broader Libra Association announcement, and said that Facebook is unhappy that Libra Association members aren't voicing support for the project.
So you kind of have to sit back and say, did Facebook just not really realize that there would be the scrutiny that there is? And potential backlash from the government side of all this, because we're talking about money and currency and perhaps a new global currency? Or did Facebook, as it sounds like some of the partners are worried about, did they not really disclose that this was going to be a messier rollout than the rainbows and unicorns announcement that Facebook initially made Libra out to be?
Right. And it's unfortunate for these companies because a lot of them kind of shook on the fact that they would end up giving over $10 million to help the growth of this cryptocurrency, basically. So it's they have kind of a stake in it. They want to see it grow because, of course, they would like to see more money come back to them in profits. But a lot of them pulling out at this point is looking really bad for Libra Association. And you're right, Sarah. It does sound like it definitely sounds like there was some issues there with them Facebook not necessarily paying attention to what kind of regulatory positions you have to take when it comes to financials.
And the whole point of the Libra Association, and this was a selling point that Facebook made very, very clearly when it announced the project, was, don't worry, Facebook is only one of many members of this Libra Association. This is an independent association outside of the company. So anyone who's like, oh, Facebook's going to be controlling our money now, that was not the point. The strength was in the number of independent members of this association that could make decisions so that Facebook didn't have any sort of controlling stake in this operation. The fewer of those you have, the more it kind of falls back onto Facebook and the more the backlash is going to continue.
What surprises me about the fact that they had so many members that were a part of this is the fact that some of them that were included were financial sector beings like
Mhm.
Visa and MasterCard. So given that you had so many different sectors that were kind of trying to join together and create this partnership, uh, I'm still kind of flabbergasted as to why they didn't think about these regulations beforehand and why this is now coming up.
Earlier this week, we talked about Binance's Libra. Well, Binance says, hey, we're just going to coexist. Their new Venus stablecoin initiative, which doesn't even really work the same way. So the timing of all this is very interesting, considering that it sounds like Libra is going to be just one of some variety of ways that organizations, platforms, banks, and the like are trying to tackle this situation. So yeah, be an interesting ride, especially when Libra supposedly rolls out next year. Moving on to educational toys. Sphero is acquiring fellow entertainment and STEM toy maker Little Bits. Sphero gained notoriety, you might recall, with a smartphone-controlled 3D printed ball at CES way back in 2011. It was a big deal at CES. I was working at TWIT at the time. We played around with one for a while. The same year, Little Bits introduced its own electronics kit. Both companies are alumni of Disney's Accelerator. Sphero's remote control BB-8 was the first in a line of Star Wars and Spider-Man and other Disney franchise licensed toys. Although in early 2018, Sphero's Disney deal ended and the company pivoted to educational toys, also had some layoffs. Little Bits had its own Marvel and Star Wars licensing deals, but they had their own layoffs earlier this year as well and announced they would be shifting to K through 12 educational toys. Also, Sphero and Little Bits as a combined company now hold 140 patents in the fields of robotics, electronics, software, and IoT. Match made in heaven, kind of.
Yeah, it totally sounds like it. It almost seems like both of them were maybe like whispering behind the scenes about what they were kind of working on, both doing layoffs at the same time, both getting into the educational market at the same time. And now they're joining forces. And it does, like Little Bits and Sphero have always been, I've been somewhat of a fangirl of both of those companies for a very long time since they were first released, especially Little Bits, given that it teaches kids so much about just coding and programming and the information behind hardware components and how you put those pieces together. Just a very fascinating concept that I wish was around when I was a kid. But yeah, it's a total match made in heaven. I'm very excited for them. And it's no surprise it's happening right now. As we were discussing before recording, there has been a slight drop off with toy manufacturing and the sales of toys generically. However, they have seen a slight increase in toy sales during 2019. So I'm not too surprised that they decided to push away from the toy market, the like putting it in retail stores and whatnot, and focusing on educational. With Sphero, they have had really awesome trends with schools, which is a very hard market to kind of pop into. And I think that Little Bits joining forces with them will definitely increase that. And getting them into schools, I think, will be really, really useful to get more children involved in STEM.
Absolutely. And, depending on the school, of course, that might mean a bigger package of toys sold at once, reoccurring agreements and partnerships with certain school districts. So getting into the education market sounds really smart for a toy company. But at the same time, even, Roger was telling us before the show, if a toy is just a toy, well, okay, the kids like toys. But if a toy is an educational toy, and again, it depends on who's making it and what the intentions are. But if it's an educational toy that helps a kid learn, helps a kid grow, helps enrich, you get something out of it while you're having fun, that's even better. I mean, almost any toy should be marketing itself as educational on some level, right? Because it's like everybody wins. The adults like it and the kids like it.
They would sell so much more.
Exactly.
The Wall Street Journal reports that more than 4,000 unsafe or banned products are alive and well on Amazon, offered through third-party sellers. The publication's investigation discovered items such as toys, like we were just speaking about, and medication that have been declared unsafe or banned by federal agencies or have misleading titles. or labels. The journal says Amazon has since removed or changed the description on more than half of the problematic listings. Amazon also responded to the story in a blog post saying that it requires products on its site to comply with, quote, relevant laws and regulations, and uses automated tools that scan for non-compliant products. Earlier this year, the company changed its quality control standards for school supplies and children's jewelry sold on its platform after some were found to have unsafe levels of toxic metals. Legitimate third-party sellers have also been unfairly punished after being reported as selling counterfeit goods by rivals, underscoring the difficulty Amazon has policing millions and millions of sellers.
Yeah, this is like too big to police effectively. Amazon is probably the most obvious example of this. Amazon does have millions of third-party sellers. Amazon says, "Hey, they agree when they become a seller of, we enter into a partnership that they're not going to do this, and we have automated systems in place to try to weed this stuff out before it ever reaches the consumer's eyes or is able to be bought." But as we have talked about a lot on the show as of late, that automated systems miss stuff. Amazon is going to be having to pull a lot more of these because things are slipping through the cracks. And in some cases, I think it was, a couple of years ago now, there was a case where Amazon got sued because it sold a third-party hoverboard that exploded, burned down somebody's house. And in that case, it was just one case, but the court ruled, Amazon was merely the facilitator between the seller and the buyer, and it shouldn't be at fault. And that, again, those cases, they don't always go the same way as that particular one. But I don't know exactly what Amazon does in this situation unless it has more stringent policies on third-party sellers, which would reduce the amount of third-party sellers, which they don't want to do either.
Oh, of course not, because they're making a profit. They make a percentage on each sale that happens through their platform. I'm somewhat familiar with the process of selling on Amazon due to some friends that sell stuff there too. And they've even seen these kind of problems where something might get banned or cut off because Amazon, their automatic processing does not understand what the product is. For example, Hack5 has tried to sell products on Amazon and had things just randomly turned off, and then we had to get in touch with a person, and that whole thing is a huge debacle in itself as a third-party seller. But the fact that so many thousands of toys and thousands of medical devices are getting out there, medication, and that are potentially dangerous for people to use, that's a really serious problem, and Amazon really needs to figure out a way to fix this, because they could be sued for potential damages.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If I buy a t-shirt and it comes and I'm like, well, this wasn't the quality I thought it was, well, that's a bummer.
One thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But if it's a toy that's going to hurt a little kid, or medication that is not what it says it is, for somebody who has a legitimate health issue, that is an issue. And it's without outright banning certain products on the Amazon side, the company doing that, it has its work cut out for it. DoorDash unveiled its updated tipping policy. Talked about DoorDash, had a tipping policy that was pretty controversial, angered some drivers. Well, the company says all drivers now receive 100% of tips placed through its app. So if I get food delivered, I like my experience. The driver gets 100% of the tip that I think is going to the driver in the first place. Drivers also will see a breakdown of a delivery total, including any tip prior to accepting an order. The new policy is testing now and expected to roll out in September. Meanwhile, in similar news, the LA Times reports that Amazon emailed flex drivers, they deliver a variety of products, announcing it would no longer use supplemental earnings or tips to cover their minimum pay. Going forward, Amazon will provide drivers with a full breakdown of pay, including how much comes from tips. An Amazon spokesperson said that the company would contribute at least $15 per scheduled hour to driver pay, with some regions receiving higher minimum contributions.
I have beef with these companies and using tips to give their drivers minimum wage, which they should be fairly paid already. The fact that customers had no clue that this was being used as part of their minimum wage is unfair in so many ways. And so is tipping in itself in the United States. I mean, I used to deliver pizza for Domino's Pizza when I was a kid. And if if I wasn't receiving those tips, I probably would not have been able to, pay for school when I was in college. So
Yeah.
I have lots of venting issues with these companies, but even in itself, like it just seems very unfair. And how is a customer supposed to know, like, if you're putting in the tip into the application beforehand, like all of these companies seem to be going to, which is good. I'm glad you're allowing customers to tip within the app and giving the drivers 100%. But how is a customer supposed to know that they're going to have a good experience with the driver? Even like part of the whole tipping lifestyle in the US is you tip based on 15% or 20%, and you kind of base that on the experience and how good the customer service is with the person that was involved.
Yeah, it's kind of like if nothing went wrong, you tip what is expected. If something was way above and beyond, maybe you go higher. And then, of course, if it's lower, it's like something terrible happened, and that person isn't going to get the minimum tip that is polite to do. Yeah, unless I'm not understanding this correctly, I thought that was weird too, at least about the DoorDash part of this, that a driver would be able to go, okay, here's what the delivery and then my tip will be before I go ahead and accept this. Because the tip comes afterwards. I'm pro tipping. I'm happy to tip, but if you've already gotten tips before you've done your job, then what is the tip? That's almost just sort of like the payment, the premium payment. But I know a lot of folks listening to TNS are just shaking their heads because in many parts of the world, you don't have this problem.
Because you're paying fairly already.
The confusion of tipping is something that certainly very US centric. To this day, there are certain services that people provide where I go like, do I tip the guy who gave me the new router? I don't, it continues to be a confusing thing.
I generally befall on the idea of, are you allowed to take tips? And if they say yes, then I'm like, okay, I'll tip you. And I always try to tip in cash so that I don't have to deal with the company trying to take their money away from them. Yeah. However, you should always make sure that you claim your taxes on your cash. Not that we always do. Authorities in Denmark will review 10,700 court cases dating back to 2012 to see if flawed cell phone evidence was used for convictions. On Monday, the nation's director of public prosecutions ordered a 2-month halt in the use of cell phone data in criminal prosecution cases. The review stems from 2 different flaws. The first one is the system that turns a phone company's raw data into location data was omitting data during the conversion. And the second problem is that some cell phone tracking data linked phones to the wrong cell phone towers, possibly incriminating innocent people. So the authorities said that the problem stemmed partly from police IT systems and partly from the phone company's systems, although a telecom industry representative said he could not understand how phone companies could have caused the errors.
Well, if the cell tower is linking me to a place I never was, where the crime occurred, but in my court case, it was determined I was there through cell tower data, I would like my case revisited. I mean, we're talking 10,700 court cases here. There's going to be some instances where things are overturned for that exact reason.
And they don't give exact numbers, breakdown of how many people are currently going through the court process, how many have already been imprisoned, how many people this may potentially actually have this data make a difference in their case and would have to go back to trial. So at this moment where they're just reviewing those 10,700 court cases, it will likely be a lot less once they do determine how many it actually affects. But this is a really serious problem. You have a lot of cases, especially coming up in the past decade or so, that have cell phone information that links people to these convictions, and this data could eventually overturn a case of somebody that's been in prison for a long time. That's a huge concern, especially since it's in Denmark. I mean, does that affect other other countries as well?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the big thing. Is one of the things that's kind of underscored here is that if this happened in Denmark, which generally is considered to have a pretty transparent and functional criminal justice system, how many other countries around the globe might have similar issues? And it's one of those things where oftentimes technology is kind of used as well, the technology says you did it, so you must be guilty. And it tends to kind of subsume any other sort of legwork that typically goes into a criminal investigation. And it should be a cause for alarm for people who are, do want to make sure that the criminal justice system is indeed fair and, justice is served, right? You don't want to put the wrong person in jail because that ostensibly means the person who was guilty is running around free.
Well, this is also we're moving in the right direction, right? There are cases that are overturned constantly now because we have the ability to test DNA when somebody was wrongfully accused, convicted, and possibly imprisoned in the past. So this is not science in the same way at all, but it's assuming that nobody was tampering with any data in this case. It was simply flaws that had not been caught in the past. The fact that this is something that is known that may affect cases where justice was not served it is a good thing. It's a messy thing, certainly. And yeah, I mean, if this is happening in Denmark, how many other countries are affected? How many other cases are affected? Potentially quite a few more than 10,000. But it's better than the alternative.
I feel like, and perhaps you're feeling the same way, Sarah, that this is going to have really major implications worldwide for cases in the future that have to do with cell phone information, and it'll probably make it a lot more scrutinized than it currently is, because as the articles report, and as Roger mentioned, a lot of times lawyers just look at it and the jury looks at it and they just assume that this data is correct because data is always correct, but it can be flawed in some way if it was originally created in the incorrect fashion, or if the data was omitted. In this case, it was. So huge implications for what's going to happen in the future when it comes down to this kind of data being used.
Yeah, and if it can't be fixed or it can't be trusted to be correct,
right?
Can it be admitted into court at all?
That's something they never even mentioned, is whether or not this is something that's fixable. So if they are going to go back and review these, I would love to know how they are going to look at this data and how they are going to see if it's something that they can fix.
Well, folks, to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. Also, thanks to everyone who participates in our subreddit. Such a good crew we have in there. You can submit stories you think we should know about and vote on others at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Also, we're on Facebook. Join our group, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Got a couple mailbags today. First one from Garrick. He's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And he wanted to weigh in on that conversation we had on Tuesday about subscription fatigue and cord cutting. Garrick says, seems people in the US have forgotten how awful local network and cable affiliates treat their customers. I don't know if everybody has forgotten that, Garrick, but I get your point. He says our access to cable channels in his neck of the woods and broadcast syndication packages have always been dependent on local affiliates. Growing up near northern Indiana, we didn't have access to the CW, the WB, Comedy Central, or many other stations until the mid-2000s. The University of Notre Dame owned our local NBC affiliate at one point and refused to broadcast certain NBC programming, such as Conan O'Brien's show. He says, don't even get me started on all the times that nationally broadcast primetime television had been kicked off the air in favor of sporting events. Before complaining about the cost of a streaming service, people should be thankful that ISPs don't control Hulu content and that Netflix doesn't remove BoJack Horseman from their service every November to make room for local high school football.
I feel your pain in so many ways, Garrett, because I have been there when I lived in Missouri, and we would have to watch high school football instead of whatever show was on TV, and I had no interest in football. So I totally feel you. However, I still am going to complain about the prices. Right. And part of that reasoning is because I remember living in the Midwest and trying to watch a show on Netflix when it was first around, and the buffering took forever. And I was like, why am I paying, I think it was like $7 a month at the time. Why am I paying $7 a month for something that's buffering for half an hour for me to watch a 25-minute show? It was just, it was still ridiculous at that time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there was no cable where I was. We could not get cable in the forest where I lived until well into high school. Boy, was that a new world. But yes, I had not really thought about that whole affiliate thing and how it might be different depending on where you live. So thanks, Garrick. Someone who chose to remain anonymous also wrote in about our recent discussion on essay grading, robots versus humans, what's better, and the automation of it all. They said, somebody brought up that teachers are not the ones grading standardized tests anyway. Anonymous says, I can confirm this. Both my sister and brother work for Pearson. I've known others as well. They both started out grading essays for standardized tests. There's training for the people they hire, and there's QC to make sure that grading standards are maintained. From what I can tell, the majority of positions at Pearson are temporary, including the supervisors and trainers for the graders. This makes some sense because standardized testing is seasonal, but I think it makes it hard for them to maintain a quality group of employees. With many proposed or already implemented automated tasks, people seem to get really nervous. What they might fail to realize is that the quality of current methods for accomplishing the same task. We expect computers and robots to be perfect before we trust them, when in many cases, it doesn't have to be anywhere near that good to be better than current systems, aka humans.
Well, as long as it's not like Amazon's banning of of third-party sellers, I think anything's better.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for writing in and giving us your perspective. Always helpful. And also, thanks to Len Peralta, who's been busy illustrating this entire show. We're just going to focus on one subject for now, Len. But what do you got for us?
Well, a lot of really good stuff to talk about this week, but I focused on what Shannon was talking about, which was banning all the unsafe and banned products on Amazon. And I focused on the baby products because I'm sure there's a ton of baby products on there. And here are just a few of them. A couple of them I think are kind of fun. There's old Choke 'em Up baby formula. This is regurgitated bile flavor. There's the Painfully Tight brand diapers. And my favorite, the Piranhas, GNAWS, the real piranha that eats your child's arm. So that should probably be banned off Amazon. I don't know how it ended up on there. What the heck?
Wow, you really had fun today, didn't you?
Oh, I love doing these. These are the fun ones. Really fun stuff. Yeah. This is available on my online store, lenperaltastore.com. Or if you're a Patreon backer, you can get it right now. It's available right now, patreon.com/Len.
Awesome work as always, Len. And thanks to Shannon Morse for being with us this Friday. Shannon, let folks know where they can keep up with the rest of what you do.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And I promise I won't bring hacking to every single show. It's not my fault.
No, it's definitely not your fault. You somehow conjure up stories that I know you're going to be good at explaining. So I thank you.
I'm a security and privacy witch.
Right.
Yeah, Threatwire, patreon.com/Threatwire or youtube.com/HAK5. This week, I talked a lot about war shipping, where people are sending hacking devices into companies using UPS and USPS and other shippers. And also a new Bluetooth vulnerability, which hits lots and lots of devices. So it's called the knob attack. Laugh if you must. And it's a pretty serious vulnerability. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. The episode is free up on the YouTubes.
Well, thanks to Len and Shannon for being with us today. Also, thanks to our patrons. Couldn't do the show without you. We are a strong army. Thank you, patrons. You can become a DTNS patron as well. Get an ad-free RSS feed, lots of behind-the-scenes stuff, special episodes, newsletters. It's a fun place to be. Patreon.com/DTNS, and thanks to everybody who supports our show. You want to email us? Feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com is where to send it. You want to join us live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. Put it on your calendar. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Tom Merritt is back on Monday. Have a great weekend. See you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Frog Pants Network. Get more shows like this at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Good show, everyone.
Done.
Yay!
Hey.
Yeah.
We should put one where we'll have Justin instead of doing we hope you enjoy this Diamond Club program. He'll also add, I got my sandwich.
Diamond Club hopes you enjoy your sandwich.
You know
that's
that
a good one.
clip of Brian and Justin wasn't actually meant to be anything other than it was just part of the show. They were just doing the show and had done a skit about the Audible, the things that you hear at the end of Audible and things like that. And that just came out, and somebody clipped it, and that became the Diamond Club tagged sound.
Yeah, it's just part of my overall being at this point. I don't even think about it anymore. If it didn't happen at the end of the show, we'd all be like, "Where is it?"
Yeah.
But I don't really think about it anymore. It's
You know
just,
what else
it just is.
would be missing from the show if we didn't do it?
A title.
Yes. So,
Flame-throwing drones. What could go wrong?
For people at home want to play along, point your browsers to dtns.showbot.tv and gdi.showbot.tv. Top of the list, Sarah has said, flame-throwing drone, what could go wrong? Followed by little bits of Sphero. Amazon's unsafe harbor. Denmark's data diligence.
Do not weaponize drones.
Repeated blows to the Facebook. Dane diligence, Amazon.com on fire, just like the Amazon basin. Oh, burn. Burn. Get it.
Dane diligence. I read that as Dame diligence. I was like, like, a woman of a certain stature.
That Dane was
Dame
loaded.
diligence.
I like Denmark's data diligence and flame-throwing drone. What could go wrong?
There's also give a little bits to Sphero.
Give a little bit.
Oh,
I actually like sell data is rotten in Denmark. Get it? Something's rotten in Denmark. The old.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
get
one.
that.
I mean,
That's a good
that's
one.
good.
you would have to know what that you would have to be familiar with that phrase. Something's rotten.
I feel that, yeah. In fact, I think I asked you and Tom, Roger, at one point, what does that mean?
Something's right. It's a historical.
Right, but it's like I know that I'm familiar with the phrase. I think a lot of people
It was in Hamlet,
understand.
I think.
Yeah.
Hamlet.
Something is rotten in the state of Denmark.
I'm going to go ahead and vote for Cell Data is rotten in Denmark. It's very
Cool.
clever, even
Yeah,
though
I'm
I
like it.
my heart likes flame-throwing drones. I think that the Anna Krakatoa gets the gold star.
The who?
That's got Starbucks vote.
The person who submitted the
Oh, Anna Krakatoa. Yeah.
who? Oh
Who?
yeah,
What?
Anna.
Yeah. Right.
Of course.
Why is this not copying? Why will you not
Because
copy?
it hates you.
Don't be my daughter. Don't be my daughter. Hold
Does
on.
your daughter say that?
No, she doesn't. She will eventually. That's what happens to all kids. It's the natural circle of life.
Oh wait, there's Starbuck.
That's what happened in The Lion King, right? When his
Starbuck would never say I hate
when his
you.
daughter cub
Aw.
grew up to like
Hi, little lady.
to show disdain.
Okay.
Just being a little thing down there.
She really has an RBF, doesn't she?
don't know what that
GDI.
means.
It means resting blank face.
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes,
RBF.
Yes.
What the heck are you talking about?
But
You know.
isn't that all cats?
absolutely.
No.
It's all cats. Well, some cats more than others, though, and some humans.
Wasn't that where it came from, humans, and then we just
Yeah,
transposed it?
yeah. Where you're like, I'm not mad. This is just what I look like when I'm not smiling.
And also, don't mess with me.
Right? Yeah.
That's like the motto of all the women in my house.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder what the one common thread for all of them is.
Yeah. No, I fully understand.
But it's more than just bar food or mood walls or chicken sandwich loop, morgue walls, chicken sandwich hype, paint by playlist, Popeyes.
Oh, you're going through GDI titles. I was like,
Yeah.
Roger, are you all right?
It's broken.
No, I'm suffering from
More than just chicken sandwich loops.
more than just bar food.
Can I-
there's a-
Can I
ahead.
just get a high five for the piranhas? Come on.
piranhas?
High five for me.
Piranhas.
The real piranha that
I
eats your
yeah.
child's arm. Come on.
Hey, you can eat the piranha when it's done eating your kid. Popeye's chicken sandwich brings all the memes to the yard. That was also from Anna Krakatoa.
Isn't it just more that it's getting attention, or are there actually memes about it?
Well, when you
I
get
gotta
heart,
look
I
this
don't know.
up.
Because people waiting in line, like that's not a meme. That's just people who want this cool sandwich.
It just started by Popeyes throwing shade at Chick-fil-A for the sandwich, and then
There's
everybody
probably plenty
on
of
that
memes
like
that
the
it's up
Wendy's.
It's because it's one of those things you can have fun with without worrying that you're going to step on anyone's toes.
I like Paint by Playlist.
Paint by playlist.
By playlist. That's
by
good.
R2B2.
Yep.
R2B2.
Where's it? Paint by playlist. Done.
Yay.
Well done.
I'm not going to have a Popeyes chicken sandwich for lunch because I don't know where there's a Popeyes near me and I don't want to wait in line. And I don't know.
It seems like a long way to go out of your way.
I
just
doubt
for
this
fast
is
food.
the perfect sandwich for me. It just doesn't quite sound right. But I do need to eat lunch. Does anyone have any suggestions?
Do you
Ramen.
need to cook it or do you need to go
It's
outside
really
your door? and
hot though. Ramen sounds
Spaghetti.
too hot. Spaghetti.
Oh,
Spaghetti
you know what?
ramen.
What about
Longanisa.
what about
Lumpia.
Lumpia.
what about just a
Yes, yes.
sandwich? Those are cold. Those
Yeah.
are cold.
I don't have the fixins to make one in my kitchen, but I could
Go
go.
to Jersey Mike's Subs. Do you got a Jersey Mike's near you?
You know what? I'm kind of tired of that. My wife loves that place. She's from New Jersey. It's like, I love it. They do an Italian sub. And then it's like,
Yeah.
that's all right. It's really oily when I get it out of the bag.
I mean,
Well,
there's a
you can get it
grocery
without
store
oil.
that has a great salad bar near me. Not just salad, but all sorts of hot and cold, and it's good stuff.
Hey,
which I
go-
usually do in
Go to
these
Burger
moments.
King, get an Impossible Whopper.
No, she doesn't want something hot, though, right? You want something cool?
Well, I mean, it's not that I wouldn't eat a burger. Ramen, you know how ramen is because it's just it's like straight up like hot liquid.
Yeah.
It's
But
that
part of
feels
the-
like more of an
that's-
evening thing for me
Oh,
today.
are you kidding? Ramen is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. if
I'm
I
talking
could
about
get it.
based on temperature, not based on time of day. Right now, it's too hot for me.
You know
to eat
what?
ramen.
Pasta salad.
Yeah.
A pasta salad.
What do you mean? Ugh. Pasta
It's
salad
just-
is like that's not even really.
What?
when
Why?
you say
Why do you,
pasta
actually? Why
salad,
do you
it's
say
like,
ick though? Like,
yeah, like it could be
Um,
pesto.
Is it because you don't
it
like
could
pesto?
be
You
like,
don't like pasta?
No, it's just
you don't
it
like
could be like
olives.
it could be
there's
like
other things
tomato
to
and
eat besides pasta
feta.
salad. I feel.
Like
You
what?
could have a vinegar.
Wait,
you
what-
toss
what-
it in vinegar.
We had
What
pizza for
alternatives?
breakfast here, so
I don't know, sushi. I don't know.
Man, sushi sounds great.
Sushi's good.
Sushi's good.
Okay, so you have sushi or pasta salad. Where are you gonna go?
Sushi salad.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I would get both. I would get a
Sushi
side of
salad.
pasta salad with my sushi.
It's just kind of boring to me. I don't know.
What do you consider an
Pasta-
exciting lunch? I want to know what lends exciting lunch.
I just think you're having the
Well-
wrong pasta salad. Pasta salad is as
Pasta,
exciting as you
pasta,
want it to be,
pasta.
just like any salad.
An exciting lunch for me. I don't know. To be honest with you, I'll just go microwave something usually.
How about this?
Just
Ooh,
don't
I've
wanna
been
think
all
about
about chicken and fig sandwiches lately.
Ooh.
Mm.
What
No,
is
I
like
don't.
sauce?
I don't even know if I've ever done that. That
Oh,
sounds
Oh, it's so good.
An
I stole
exciting
the
lunch
idea
for
from
me is
Starbucks.
a place called Swenson's, which is like a drive-in place, and they make a really great thing called the Galley Burger. It's excellent.
Is it not the Swenson's ice cream shop?
No, different.
Oh, interesting.
It's like a Sonic, but it's only based here in Ohio.
Is it better
Oh.
than Sonic's?
Oh yeah,
That's,
oh yeah.
It's
The
not hard, but
milkshakes
I'm-
are great. Milkshakes are great.
Oh, and I told you guys that Sonic just opened up here right after the show yesterday. I went down to Lowe's, which is about a block before Sonic, and they'd already had to reroute highway traffic
What?
because
for
yeah,
Sonic.
for Sonic.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, on a Thursday afternoon.
It's a Sonic.
So
Yeah,
like
seriously.
half a mile before the Sonic, they rerouted highway traffic to go around to allow people
You
to get
could hit
into
a
Sonic.
supermarket and grab all
Oh
the
my
ingredients to
gosh.
make each of those beverages.
That's
Maybe.
crazy.
I could pick up half the ingredients for a Sonic burger at Lowe's. Like it's not quality food.
Well, no, I'm talking. The reason you go to Sonic is for the beverages. The food has always been a little subpar, in my opinion. I got a pair of hot dogs and a burger once, and I was like, "Why did I pay for this?"
I have to head out early today because I have a dentist appointment.
Oh, you
Mm.
should eat something that's really messy,
Pasta
so
salad,
they have more
baby.
to clean, so you get your money's worth.
Yeah. Just like spinach hanging out.
Yeah, eat a bag of Oreos. There you
Well,
go.
I already had PF Chang's right before we started recording, so it's already going to be bad breath for them no matter what.
I had the
I
garlic
always tell
special.
myself I can't have the worst mouth hair. You know?
No, yeah, exactly.
Like no matter how you walk in, there's gonna be they will have seen a worse mouth.
I've heard stories. I sometimes chat with my dentist, and
Yeah.
I've heard some stories. So
Oh,
I feel
man.
much better about myself.
Yes, yes. Well, yeah, teeth are important.
Yes, I need to go see a dentist.
But I've got that tooth that's kind of crooked. Like, yes, but you have that tooth. So,
You
It's
do
worse,
have that
sir.
too.
Have you considered braces? But I'm 40. Well, have you considered better braces?
Braces. All right. I will see y'all later.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right,
Good
Shannon.
seeing you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
And
Bye,
I need to
internet.
log off too because I've got a birthday party to attend.
Oh, have fun, Len.
Have
Thank
fun.
you, Shannon.
Happy birthday, Len.
Happy birthday to
Not my
whoever birthday it
birthday.
is.
I'm teasing you. I'm teasing.
but Len, will there be spaghetti and meatballs there?
No.
Will it be spaghetti
there
and
won't
hot
be.
dog?
There'll be
Right.
pizza, I believe.
Chicken
Pizza
sandwiches.
and an ice cream cake. Oh,
Pasta salad?
no pasta salad.
Okay, bye.
Bye. See you later.
Bye.
Gotta go. Bye.
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 Sushi pizza.
No.
No? Why
The
not?
pizza is my favorite food because you can have so many different configurations of it, but I don't think sushi pizza would be one. Sushi and pizza is good, especially when you're drinking soju. But
There's a place in San Francisco called Sushirito, which is basically sushi, but presented as a large burrito.
Which is kind of nasty, to be honest.
I've never had it. People like
sushi
it.
Roll?
Hmm?
It's basically just a large sushi roll.
Yeah, but I think it's large enough so that you can sort of have a spread within the one
Yeah.
burrito.
Oh,
It's like you don't just
Imagine,
pick one flavor.
imagine if
I
you
love-
took
I like that.
imagine if you took a sushi roll, like a Japanese style where the seaweed's on the outside, and you supersize it so it's the size of like a large burrito, and then you don't slice it, right? You don't cut it, you don't dice it, and then you just serve it that way and say, chow down.
I need my seaweed on the inside of the sushi roll
Why?
because I don't like the taste of seaweed.
Oh,
Perhaps
You're
it's because you
weird.
haven't been exposed to it enough.
Or I just don't like the taste of seaweed.
Then why eat sushi? Then just get a poke bowl and a bowl of rice.
well, if you do nigiri, you don't have seaweed.
That's true. Sashimi, you get sashimi.
Yeah, there are other
If you
there's
If you get
seafood
the rice
avoidy
on the
ways.
outside, if you get the rice on the outside and the seaweed on the inside, it still maintains the integrity of the structure.
And a lot of rules are like that.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily taste the seaweed. You get to actually enjoy all the other stuff first.
While still,
Well, the first thing
enjoying
you
the-
would taste is a rice. So just get a.
yeah.
Well, it depends on how you eat it.
Well, were you eating the center of the sushi first?
No, but I it comes in. It's a slice, and I lay the slice down flat on my tongue and eat it that way.
Ah.
So I immediately get the flavor of the inside without having to dig through the seaweed to get there. So by the time the seaweed taste goes through, I've already flooded my senses with the good stuff.
Interesting.
Yes. Look, there's sushi strategies. All right.
Sushi strategies.
Okay, next question.
Okay.
Somehow I have gotten through this long in my life without ever hard boiling my own eggs. I enjoy a hard boiled egg, but I've never done it. How long do I boil them for?
How big are your eggs?
They're average egg size.
Pasture
raised, of course.
I normally boil them for what? A couple of minutes?
About 3 minutes.
Really? Because everything online is like 6, 7, which seems long.
No, you don't want it too long because depending on the egg, I would say 5 to 6 minutes is okay. Anything longer than that, it tends to, at least for me, I don't like the insides. They get kind of gross.
Okay.
Well, that and they may tend to break through the shell as well.
Unless you
Well,
make
okay, so
egg drop
this is-
soup.
This is from all recipes, right? Which I've used it for other recipes with.
I would say 5 minutes. Try it with 5 minutes.
This says, put pan over high heat, bring water to rolling boil. Blah 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 blah. Blah. You want the eggs to. Why doesn't it just tell me? Let the eggs stand in the hot water for 14 to 17 minutes. I thought, yeah, like I want this to be like a couple minute process.
Well, if you don't let it sit, part of the problem is the yolk will still get parts of it will still be kind of runny.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, it's the
'Cause I'm
same way when you make scrambled eggs.
Because I'm thinking that because I often put eggs over a salad, but I don't want to do that right now because I'm hot. But I was like, ooh, I could hard boil and then, cut them up and make myself a more of a Cobb salad type thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
And still get that, that egg,
it's
eggs will help it stick to my ribs a little bit.
change if you're doing farm fresh eggs that are not refrigerated. They're not going to take as long, of course.
Of course.
Then,
Mine are refrigerated.
Yeah.
The eggs I have right now. But I don't want this to be 20 minutes. I'm hungry now.
See, that's the problem. That's why people turn to ready-to-eat foods, because when you're ready to eat, you really don't want to spend time making
It's true. Yeah, it's like the pre-planning part of it. Once you miss the window, that's why I like eat chips and salsa for dinner sometimes.
I mean, like, do predatory animals do that? Like, they're not hungry, but they anticipate being hungry, so they start hunting.
Right. They're like,
beforehand.
In 3 hours, I'm going to be really hungry.
So I should probably go out and kill something now and not have to worry about, like, when I'm starving.
Well, they do that for their kids, when you got to go back to the den and feed the little ones.
Uh-huh. Or feed
you got to start early. Feed on the little ones.
Well, that's unfortunately
You're
that's
a terrible mother.
That's one of the things with, is it lynxes or bobcats that if there's a litter of two, one sibling will
Eat the other one.
Will eliminate the other one.
Oh.
Remove the other one from contention.
Yeah.
Oh.
No contest.
I know a few human siblings who probably wish that they were allowed to do that as well.
Yeah. My daughter does that with my youngest. It's like, quit choking her. But she's really just trying to put her arms around her neck and trying to hug her. But it looks like she's trying to strangle her. It's like, Dad, don't do that.
Yeah. No chokehold for the baby.
But yeah, eggs. I'll tell you what I do with eggs. I have some frozen rice, and I cook that, and then I crack a couple eggs on top of it, and I nuke it. So I get hard sunny side over rice. And I'll add some blossom, which is just basically shredded dried pork meat, some diced vegetables, and I'm eating.
That sounds good. Do you add like sauce to it?
Nope.
No oil? No nothing?
Nope.
Huh. And
It's one of those things
I feel like there's enough
Moisture.
in
the eggs, yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Part of it is that
also, I guess the rice having been frozen would release a little bit of its own.
When I was raised, I remember all those ads on Saturday morning cartoons on ABC where it says there's a little animated feature. They used to have those PSAs about, or Scooter Computer would tell you like what kind of future you could have, like what kind of career futures. Like, I really love to draw. Well, you can become an artist. You can be an architect. But one of the ones they had was a whole thing about not drowning your food in sauce, or like if you had a salad, don't dump a lot of dressing in it because you're missing out on the best parts of your salad. I mean, I don't know.
When I make a salad, which is often, I probably eat at least one salad a day, which I just make at home because I've always got stuff. But it's always the dressing is like, I don't even put any thought into it. It's like little olive oil, a little champagne vinegar, squeeze a lemon, that's it. And you don't need much of either of those things. And then you just, mix it up. You can even do that just with the lettuce before you add all the other stuff. Works the same way. Yeah. It's so good. It's so simple.
Well, folks, I think we're going to end it here for today. But I do want to remind everyone that Dom is back on Monday. So stay tuned. He will be coming back from his world tour of Paris.
And the Irish
Ireland.
Countryside. Yeah.
He'll get to regale us on his amazing journey through various breweries and pub food.
Yes, he will.
But on that, thank you so much for helping us along these past 2 weeks. It's been great.
It absolutely has.
And we want to wish you we'll wish you a very good day, Internet.
Happy holidays in advance.
Yes.
And have a good weekend.
Good day, Internet.